Welcome to StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on disinformation about Ukraine. I'm Fulbright scholar Cynthia Sularz, and this week we will look at how Russian disinformation machine has been dealing with two of its favorite topics, the Eurovision Song Contest and the EU visa-free travel for Ukrainians. Let's get to it. On May 17th, Ukraine and the European Union will sign official documents granting Ukrainians visa-free travel to the EU's Schengen zone countries. The new visa-free regime will go into effect on June 11th. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko said that visa liberalization deal with the EU marks Ukraine's divorce from the Russian Empire. While the visa-free travel regime is largely a done deal, Russian media continue to lie to their readers about the issues with stories claiming that the EU can rescind the deal at any moment if it feels like it. RT declared exactly that, an alternative fact, with the Russian language version last week. One of the most recent Russian fakes on this issue, a completely outrageous pronouncement, was disseminated in Russian media in March, claiming that Europe will be flooded by illegal Ukrainian immigrants, radicals, and prostitutes. Visa-free travel will be short-lived. Ukrainian dreams of Europe will prove to be an empty bubble as they will not be allowed to work in the EU. Russian Defense Ministry television channel Zvezda devoted its entire weekly talk show, Prosyes, to Ukraine-EU relations, calling the visa-free travel arrangement a grandiose deceit, a vast special operation that the West has been preparing for Ukraine. We at StopFake have previously debunked many of these ridiculous Russian claims. Our StopFake graphic wizard colleagues have prepared a comprehensive collage on the StopFakes on EU visa-free travel. Check it out on our website. Eurovision. You either love it or you hate it. Russian media love writing about it. More specifically, they love writing about how Ukraine was going to mess it all up. As the Eurovision Song Contest wound down into its finals in Kiev this week, Russian media kept mum about the blaring fact that the contest went on as planned, without any financial, technical, political, or social glitches, and proved to be a success for the organizers. Their gleeful predictions about the contest moving to Moscow, Ukraine running out of money, or being disqualified as the host country has been shown to be complete and utter nonsense. In any word, just your everyday, run-of-the-mill Russian disinformation. In other words, lies. The contest got off to a happy start, with even a surprise marriage proposal thrown in to delight the millions watching. But hang on, let's take a look at some of the dire predictions that the Russian media delighted in pushing ahead of the actual contest. Remember, Kiev was going to kill stray dogs and cats from the city streets before the contest. Fake, never happened. Ukraine was going around the world with an extended hand soliciting funds for Eurovision. Remember that one? Or the one about how the Ukrainian capital raising utility costs to cover Eurovision expenses. Fake again. Eurovision is a favorite fake news topic for the Russian media. Once again, check out our collage of graphics on this issue. And finally, as summer approaches, stories about the alleged huge numbers of tourists flocking to Crimea are bound to be circulated by Russian media. The previews began last week when Russian sites were aflutter with fake stories claiming that Crimea was experiencing a tourist rush from Ukraine. Russia's security service, the FSB, reported that in the course of 3 days, April 28th to May 1st, nearly 20,000 people entered the peninsula, which Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014. The majority of visitors, the FSB pointed out, were coming to Crimea for vacation. These fake stories were circulated in Crimean media such as Sevastopolskye Novosti and Krim Inform, but also in Russian official state media TASS, Lenta RU, and even the Ukrainian site Correspondent. According to the Ukrainian Border Service, the actual number of Ukrainians visiting Crimea is much smaller. Border Service advisor Oleg Slobodyan writes on his Facebook page that less than 10,000 people crossed into Crimea over the period of 6 days in April and early May. Compared to last year, the number of Ukrainians visiting Crimea for May holidays fell by 60%, Slobodyan pointed out. Since Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, its media regularly publishes fakes about record numbers of Ukrainians vacationing in the peninsula. So, we'll certainly be debunking some of these claims in the future. That's it for this week. Be vigilant. Be aware of fakes. If you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, send it to us for a truth autopsy. Remember to stay healthy. Don't consume fake news. Your brain will thank you, and the psychological climate of society will not suffer a precipitous decline. I'm Cynthia Sularz, and this is StopFake. Thank you for watching.